I want you to close your eyes for a second and just picture the most elegant, romantic wedding imaginable.
Oh, setting the scene. I like it.
Right. So let's set it in France. You've got this historic chateau in the countryside, the scent of lavender in the warm evening air, a string quartet playing softly in the background.
Sounds perfect.
It is. The bride and groom look absolutely flawless.
You've just finished this multi-course Michelin-level gourmet meal. The champagne is flowing. The speeches were, poignant and perfect.
Yeah, a real fairy tale.
Exactly. And then, well, it gets late. The older guests have gone home. The newlyweds are getting ready to retire for the evening. And suddenly their closest friends and family burst in and hand them a chamber pot. And they are expected to drink from it.
It is, it's just the ultimate record scratch moment.
Totally.
You spend months building up all this elegance, right? All this pristine, curated romance. And then you introduce an object that is, well, historically speaking, entirely associated with human waste. It just feels completely incongruous. It shatters the illusion instantly, which is why we're talking about it today. We are pulling from an article by the wedding planning platform Weddizer, and it's all about this tradition called la soupe.
Yeah, la soupe.
And our mission for this deep dive is to get to the bottom of the historical truth behind this, unpack the hidden symbolism that somehow kept it alive for centuries, and figure out how modern couples are actually adapting a French reception custom that literally centers around a toilet bowl.
And, while I know that premise sounds utterly shocking or even, repulsive to a modern audience, there is actually a beautiful lesson buried in here.
Really? A beautiful lesson.
Yeah, it's actually a brilliant case study in how cultures use humor and community and shared vulnerability to process these major life transitions.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because la soupe, to a modern listener, this sounds like serving a beautiful wedding cake out of a hospital bedpan.
Yeah, that's a vivid image.
Right. It feels like a massive, frankly mean-spirited prank to pull on someone on the most expensive day of their life.
Well, what's fascinating here is that our modern concept of sanitation, privacy, all these everyday objects, it completely clouds our ability to understand the origin of this.
How so?
To really grasp la soupe, we have to mentally strip away our 21st century sensibilities and travel back a few hundred years into rural France. We aren't talking about aristocrats in Versailles,
Right.
We are talking about agrarian peasant communities. And in that context, a chamber pot wasn't some taboo, locked away item shrouded in shame.
Well, because indoor plumbing didn't exist.
Exactly.
But even so, they had bowls, right? They had wooden trenchers, they had soup tureens. Why intentionally choose the specific vessel reserved for late-night bathroom trips?
You really have to consider the socioeconomic reality of the time. The concept of a highly segmented house where cooking happens in one room, socializing in another, and bathroom functions in a completely private, sanitized third room, that's a relatively recent invention.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, people lived in very close quarters. The chamber pot was an incredibly common, universally recognized gussel that belonged explicitly in the sleeping quarters.
Okay.
And la soupe is a custom performed very late at night, well after the public wedding festivities have ended, and the couple has already retreated to their bedroom.
Oh, so the setting basically dictates the vessel.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The inner circle, like the bridal party, the siblings, they would burst into the bedroom. And when they wanted to bring a late-night concoction into the couple's sleeping quarters, they just grabbed the object that was already native to that space.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't originally intended as an insult or a crude prank. It was deeply, inherently practical, dictated by the exact environment they were in.
I hear the practicality argument. I really do. But I still refuse to believe they didn't recognize the juxtaposition there.
You think?
Yeah, they were dressed in their wedding best, or at least their rural equivalent, and they're eating out of a chamber pot. There had to be a wink and a nod happening there. They knew what they were doing.
Oh, for sure. You're hitting on a crucial layer of this. There was absolutely an element of body grounding humor to it.
Right.
Weddings, even historically, were moments of elevated status. You wear your best clothes, you are treated like royalty for a day. Handing the couple a chamber pot sort of brings those lofty romantic ideals crashing back down to the messy physical reality of human existence.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a very grounding mechanism.
Which brings us to the actual recipe of this so-called soup. Because the vessel is only half the shock value, honestly.
Oh, the recipe is wild.
The Weddizer article details what was actually inside this historical chamber pot, And it is just a wildly chaotic mix.
It really is.
So talking bread, wine, sweet soup, fruit, pastries, chocolate, and this is the one that gets me, leftover desserts.
Just everything thrown in together.
Wait a minute, throwing leftover desserts and wine into a bowl sounds like the aftermath of a college frat party, not a romantic send-off.
Yeah.
Wasn't this a bit insulting for the most important night of their lives?
Well, if you measure it by today's culinary standards, where we expect, like, individual plating and perfectly balanced flavor profiles, yes, it sounds like garbage.
Literal garbage.
But let's look at the underlying logic of the era. A rural wedding celebration in historical France wasn't a neatly scheduled 4-hour evening affair.
Right.
It was a marathon that could last for multiple days. There was heavy, laborious preparation, intense dancing, and just immense physical exhaustion.
And zero access to a late-night espresso or an energy drink.
Right. By the time the bride and groom finally got to their bedroom, they were just physically depleted. They needed calories.
Fast calories.
Fast, accessible, dense calories.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, food scarcity was a very real, omnipresent threat for much of history. You did not, under any circumstances, waste good food.
Oh, so that explains the leftovers.
Exactly. The leftover bread from the feast, the ends of the pastries, the dregs of the wine, you combine that into a hearty mixture because the primary goal was sheer sustenance.
You keep them awake for the wedding night?
Exactly that. It was about raw energy for the consummation of the marriage, which was historically treated as a vital community concern, not just a private romantic moment.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't about gourmet plating. It was about survival and endurance.
It's basically the 18th century equivalent of devouring a massive plate of loaded fries at a diner at 2 a.m. after a huge night out.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
You don't care what it looks like, you just desperately need the carbs.
Exactly.
But the source points out that modern weddings have completely ditched the soggy bread and leftover wine. The Weddizer list of what couples put in Soupe today is a massive pivot.
Oh, a huge pivot.
We're talking chocolate mousse, hot chocolate, champagne cocktails, fruit punch, ice cream desserts, custard, strawberry cream.
It sounds amazing, honestly.
It does.
It's a fascinating culinary upgrade, and it really highlights a broader shift in how we approach tradition. The strict necessity for calorie-dense survival food is gone.
Right, nobody's starving.
Modern couples aren't worried about starving after their catered reception. So the contents of the pot have shifted to align with modern palates, focusing entirely on luxury, indulgence, and, celebration.
So what does this all mean? Like, if they've upgraded the food to be a high-end dessert, and as the article notes, they're using brand new pots, why keep the imagery of the chamber pot at all?
That is the big question.
Why not just serve that delicious chocolate mousse in a nice crystal bowl and call it a day? To me, keeping the toilet imagery sounds almost like a messy corporate team-building exercise, but for your marriage.
That is a phenomenal comparison.
You think?
Oh, absolutely. Think about the underlying mechanics of a team-building exercise. What is it actually designed to do?
Force you to be uncomfortable.
Yes. It's designed to break down ego, force collaboration, and create a shared bond through a slightly uncomfortable, highly unusual situation. Le Soupe accomplishes the exact same psychological function for a marriage.
Oh, I love that.
The Weddizer source actually points to 4 symbolic pillars that sustain this tradition, which are humor, good fortune, endurance, and community.
Okay, let's look at humor first. Because weddings are notorious for being high-stress, high-stakes environments. Everything has to be perfect.
Too perfect sometimes.
Right. So injecting a moment where everyone is just laughing at the sheer absurdity of the newlyweds eating out of a chamber pot, that must act as a massive psychological pressure valve.
It absolutely is. And beyond just the wedding day, it sets a precedent. Successful marriages rely heavily on resilience and laughter.
For sure.
When you share this absurd, slightly messy experience in front of your closest friends, it acts as a